beyond me. But I do understand the video games. I do understand the text messaging and the instant message and the emails. I do know those things. It was a part of my growing process. Unfortunately, with baby boomers, that's a little bit distant from them. So we can play the role to building the bridge between the two, because after all, the baby boomers are in charge, and their language and their communication needs to be appealing across the board, and the program centers on that type of communication and language to bridge the gaps between us, because we are experiencing the greatest generational divide that we have now, and it is because of many of those gadgets and the technology and how fast our environment is moving.
That's an excellent point, Mr. Perry. Miss Sarah Smith, who is standing in for us, she deserves a silent round of applause as well, because we had a very hard time finding some of the young women to step in. And we probably should have extended our search, but we did search hard, and Miss Sarah Smith is standing in for one of our people, so if you would like to respond.
One of the philosophies that, in talking with our young people in the neighborhood, both on the street corner and in youth meetings, they feel that the philosophy of the young black professionals, or those that have made their niche in the way, they feel that the attitude is, I got mine, I got it my way, now you go get yours, but I'm not going to reach down and help you to get yours. They feel that there's a competition that is played on between adults, but what the adults don't realize is that the young people who want to strive to be like them, having their niche and making it in life, are watching them. They watch how we interact and how we work with one another. And if we don't, then they say, why should they? One of the things that they tell the community is, stop being scared of us. We're your children. You know our parents. Just like you did, we make our mistakes. But they feel the older generation is not, and the parents are not forgiving of those errors and those slight of judgment decisions that they make. But we can't do that. We have to go out, embrace our young people, and help teach others to make it too.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to direct that to Reverend Jerry Bishop of Life Quest Ministries and Messiah Baptist Church as well. And Reverend Bishop, I'm going to add a dimension to this. You think that it's the American capitalist thing, where now, we're able to live in the suburbs, we're able to live outside our communities, and we've bought into this notion of individualism, where we can survive and thrive on our own and forget anybody else, be it our brother, cousin, sister, or just our neighbor who's still, in the heart of the community.
When you begin to talk about the current generational divide that exists right now, and you begin to see the obvious fractures within our community and the disparity of our economic development, what was latchkey kids now are viable young adults in dire need of having a relationship with the baby boomer generation. Generation now has so many distant relationships, even with their own parents, that now that they're arrived, we refuse to take them serious. They're spending more money, but when you begin to look at what's going on, it's a mirrored behavior from what their parents did with them. When you begin to look at the economic rise from the late 1960s and the early 1970s, parents were so involved in capturing a segment of the American lie about I am who I am because of what I wear, what I drive, what higher education institution I've graduated from, my fraternal colors, that suddenly we create these divides that no one else can cross. And we wonder why there's no relationship with brokenness. And we constantly are speaking for broken people without bringing broken people to the table. It's a simple mirrored behavior. Our young professionals are mirroring the faulty, engaging behaviors of their parents. Their parents left to go to General Motors and steel case to work 60 hours a week and left us with a key and a little money in the afternoon and said, raise yourself. They dropped them off in the first grade, and picked them up in the 12th grade, and they're wondering now, why is our community a war zone? Sit down. I challenge the Generation X and the baby boomers. Go have a conversation with the average young man on the street corner. Ask them about their vision, their purpose. You'll find out these are some of the most significantly articulate young men that we've ran into in centuries. But we want to speak for them instead of having them speak for themselves. We want to tell them what they ought to want, in spite of the fact that they've spent the last 20 years as crack babies or the children of being material possessions. You know, you talk about them not being engaged. How engaged were their parents in the civic government's issues? Right. When the economy was on the decline, where were their parents? Where were the parents in 78 and 79 and 80? Right. When I was coming up through high school, people were surviving without engaging. Right. We've left the generation alone for 20 years, and now here they are, and we don't know how to deal with it.
Now let's build on that, because we're looking for solutions. And Reverend Bishop, you're a living example of the solution, because you live in the community, and your ministry operates from within the community. So tell us what inspired you to get back into the community, and what your ministry does within the community to build it up.
You know, I've been very fortunate. You know, it's no secret, you know, that obviously when you're out front, people know, they should know where your passion is. You know, my passion is obviously, I'm a follower of Christ. You know, I'm advocating a moral change. I've been pastored by the best of the best in 16 years of ministry. My current pastor is here right now. But what began to fuel my fire was the moment I accepted the decision to make a moral change and accept a Savior, I stopped seeing young men like myself on Sunday morning. I didn't see them on Wednesdays. I began to walk in a valley of loneliness, but when I left church, young men were still doing what they were doing. Lying, robbing, stealing, enjoying life. Not all, but most. Living life to the fullest. Older men refused to come and shake our hands and invite us to dinner and talk to us and groom us and teach us that we don't need to eat a salad with a spoon, and how to order off a menu and what wine you order for red meat or chicken. But then I begin to see myself standing on street corners. Not me personally, but I drive to my corporate American job. But along the way, somebody, 25 men sitting here, began to peripherally talk to me instead of talking to me directly. But it was the peripheral talk from a Judge Logan, a Dr. Rose, Elias Lumpkins down at the Fieldhouse, Reverend Dean. Right. Imagine if the conversations were not peripheral and if they were direct, what they would have meant. Right. You know, LifeQuest focuses on broken young men, Jonathan.
Sure.
You know, I don't think that what LifeQuest does is rocket science. I think the Lord has his hands on it. I know that he has his hands on it. But when you begin to sit down and talk to broken people about solutions and you just listen to them, buy them lunch, feed them, buy them a pair of gym shoes. You know they got holes in their shoes. While you're ministering to them, buy shoes.
Sure.
When you begin to redirect philanthropy,
right.
I mean, you got to redirect this thing.
That's right.
Again, I don't think we're doing anything that's rocket science. Sure. When you begin to talk about healing mechanisms to broken people, suddenly you've got to follow.
Thank you, Reverend Bishop. And we're going to move on to a question in regards to our most important black institution. That is the black church. This is the institution historically, and we continue to drive this point home, which we have